Welcome to this ultimate guide on mastering the 17 marker question in IB Business Management Paper 3. If you are aiming to secure top band marks and maximize your score in Paper 3, you are in the right place. In this video, I'll take you through a step-by-step approach to structuring your answer, applying business management tools effectively, and mastering evaluation techniques to impress IB examiners. But here's the catch. Most students lose marks on the 17 marker not because they don't know the content, but because they don't structure their response strategically. Stick with me till the end because I will also be giving you a quick test to check your understanding so you can instantly apply what you have learned. Ready to unlock the secret to full marks? Let's dive in. Now, let's break down the 17 marker question, the most crucial part of paper 3. This question isn't just about writing a long answer. It's about crafting a well-structured, high-level response that demonstrates deep business understanding, logical reasoning, and critical evaluation. To score full marks, you need to master the 4 key assessment objectives: knowledge and understanding, show that you know key business concepts. Application, link your answer directly to the case study. Analysis, explain the why and how using business tools and theories. Evaluation, weigh the pros and cons, justify your argument, and provide a final judgment. Think of this question as your chance to showcase strategic thinking, problem solving, and decision making. Just like a real business leader, stick with me and I'll show you exactly how to ace it. Alright, now let's talk about the golden key to success, the IB marking criteria. This is exactly what the examiners are looking for, and if you master this, you are already ahead of the competition. Let's break it down. Criterion A, use of resource materials, which is for 4 marks. This is your chance to prove that you have truly read and understood the case study. It's not enough to just name the sources. You need to use them effectively to support your arguments. Simply saying resource 1 states won't get you full marks. Instead, integrate the resource into your analysis, linking it directly to your points, and don't forget to mention resource 1 in brackets so the examiner can clearly see your reference. Criterion B, business management tools and theories. Again, 4 marks. Here's where you show off your business knowledge. Use tools like SWOT, ANSOF, Porter's generic strategies, Boston matrix, force field analysis, but don't just name them, apply them. Think of this like a secret weapon. If you use the right tool strategically, you make your argument much stronger. Criterion C, evaluation, which is 6 marks. Now this is where most students lose marks. IB loves critical thinking. So don't just list points, analyze them, consider the pros, cons, trade-offs, and real-world implications. Always ask yourself, what are the limitations? How does this affect different stakeholders? What's the short-term versus long-term impact? The better your evaluation, the higher your score. Criterion D, sequencing and coherence for 3 marks. Imagine explaining your answer to someone who has no idea about business. Would they understand it clearly? Your ideas must flow logically. Each paragraph should connect smoothly to the next. A messy, unstructured response equals lost marks. Now here's a big tip. Most students think writing more gets them more marks. Wrong. It's not about how much you write. It's about how well you write. Stick with me because up next I'll show you the perfect structure to maximize your marks. Let's go. Alright, now let's talk about the introduction. The first thing the examiner reads, and trust me, first impressions do matter. Common mistake alert. Many students either skip the introduction or write something vague like this essay will discuss business strategies. That's not going to get you top marks. So how do you craft a winning introduction? Let me break it down for you. Step 1. Define key terms. The IB exam loves clarity. If your question asks about strategic choices, growth strategies, or change management, define those terms upfront. It shows the examiner that you understand the core concept. Example, strategic choice refers to the process of selecting the best course of action to achieve business objectives while considering internal and external factors. Step 2. Identify the main issue. This is where you show the examiner that you have understood the question and the case study. What's the business facing? Is it declining sales, expansion plans, financial difficulties? State the core issue clearly. Example, company X is experiencing stagnating revenue growth and must decide between market expansion and product diversification to sustain its competitive advantage. Step 3. Outline your approach. Think of this as a roadmap for your answer. You are telling the examiner what to expect, making your response structured and easy to follow. Example, this response will analyze company's X's strategic options using SWOT and ANSOF metrics, evaluate the potential impact on stakeholders, and recommend the most suitable course of action based on financial and competitive considerations. Why is this important? Because a well-structured introduction sets the tone for the entire answer. It makes the examiner's job easier, and when the examiner is happy, you get more marks. Coming up next, how to structure your body paragraph for maximum impact. Let's go. Now that we have nailed the introduction, let's move on to the body paragraphs where the magic happens. This is where you prove to the examiner that you are not just writing words but actually applying business knowledge like a true strategist. Step 1. Use relevant business models and tools. Here's the deal. IB loves it when you use business management tools to support your arguments. And guess what? So do examiners. But dropping fancy words isn't enough. You have to use them correctly with relevance. Example, if the case study is about a company entering a new market, don't just say they should expand internationally. Instead, bring in ANSOF metrics and say, based on ANSOF metrics, market development is the best strategy since company X is introducing an existing product into a new market. Key business tools to consider. First, SWOT analysis, which assesses strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Second, ANSOF metrics, which looks into growth strategies, market penetration, product development, etc. Porter's generic strategies, cost leadership versus differentiation. Stakeholder analysis, who benefits, who is impacted, financial tools, break-even analysis, ratio analysis, contribution analysis. Step 2. Apply theories directly to the case study. This is where many students lose marks. Don't just explain a model, apply it to the business in the case study. Example, if a company is struggling with competition, instead of saying they should reduce cost, apply Porter's generic strategies and say to gain a competitive advantage, company X could adopt a cost leadership strategy by minimizing operational expenses and achieving economies of scale. Step 3. Use real world business examples. Want to stand out? Bring in real businesses. Example, IB loves when you connect theory to real world. Example, if the case study is about a struggling retail brand, mention how Zara uses just-in-time production to reduce waste and stay competitive. Ensure your examples are relevant to the situation. Pro tip: application is king. The examiner isn't looking for memorization. They want to see how well you apply business theories to real situations. Stay tuned. In the next section, we will take your answer to the next level with analysis and evaluation. This is where you really secure those top band marks. Alright, now that we have applied business theories in our first body paragraph, it's time to level up our answer with some serious analysis and justification. This is where we turn a good answer into a top band response. Step 1. Explain the pros and cons like a business consultant. A strong IB answer doesn't just say this strategy is great. Instead, you need to weigh both the benefits and the limitations. Think like a business consultant. Every decision has trade-offs. Example, if you are recommending that a company expands internationally, don't just say it will increase revenue. Instead, break it down. Advantage: expansion allows company X to tap into new customer bases and increase revenue. Disadvantage: however, expansion also comes with risks such as cultural differences, regulatory challenges, and increased operational cost. Tip: use words like however, on the other hand, and despite this to show balanced thinking. Step 2. Use case study evidence to back it up. This is where IB rewards you for actually using the provided case study information. Don't ignore it. Use specific numbers, facts, and data from the case study to justify your argument. Example, if the case study says the company had a 20% increase in online sales last year, use that to justify a digital marketing strategy. You could write, since company X has already seen a 20% rise in online sales, investing in e-commerce would likely generate further growth without significant additional cost. Tip: data-driven answer equals higher marks. The examiner wants to see that you can interpret and apply business information. Step 3. Address multiple stakeholder perspectives. Now let's really impress the examiner by considering how different stakeholders are affected by your proposed plan. Example, imagine you are suggesting that company X should cut costs by outsourcing production. Think about how this affects different stakeholders. Investors may benefit from increased profit due to lower cost. Employees might face job losses leading to lower morale. Customers could see lower prices, making the product more competitive. Tip: think like a CEO. Good business leaders don't just think about profits, they consider the impact on all key stakeholders. Next up, we'll talk about the secret to scoring full marks in evaluation. That's where the final 6 marks are hidden. Keep watching. Now here's where we separate the top scorers from the rest. Evaluation. This is where the magic happens and where you can secure those last 6 marks. Step 1. Introduce a counter argument. Think like a business critic. A strong IB answer doesn't just present one side, it considers alternatives and challenges its own recommendations. This is where you show that you can think like a strategic business leader. Example, let's say you recommended that company X expands into international market. A counter argument could be, while expanding internationally can increase revenue, it also comes with risks such as cultural differences, complex regulations, and economic instability. Tip: use phrases like on the other hand, however, or a potential drawback is to introduce your counter argument smoothly. Step 2. Weigh different strategic choices. Now let's go beyond just listing pros and cons. We need to weigh the options and discuss which strategy is the most viable. Example, if we compare expansion to improving domestic operations, we might say instead of expanding internationally, company X could invest in improving its domestic market presence, where it already has brand recognition and loyal customers. This may lead to lower risk and higher short-term returns. Tip: IB loves it when you compare different strategic options. It shows critical thinking. Step 3. Address trade-offs and opportunity costs. Finally, let's go deeper and discuss what the business is sacrificing by choosing one strategy over another. This is where your response really starts to shine. Example: if company X spends $10 million on global expansion, what else could they have done with that money? Maybe they could have reinvested in research and development, marketing, or employee training. By choosing to expand internationally, company X is allocating significant resources that could have been used to strengthen its domestic market. This trade-offs may delay profitability and increase short-term risk. Tip: use phrases like the opportunity cost of this decision is, or by choosing this strategy, the business sacrifices, to demonstrate high-level evaluation skills. Final takeaway: this is what gets you full marks. The IB examiner wants to see that you think beyond the obvious and truly understand the impact of business decisions. Next up, we'll wrap things up with the perfect conclusion. So don't go anywhere. The final piece of the puzzle is coming up. And now we have reached the grand finale, the conclusion. This is your last chance to impress the examiner and secure the final marks. So let's make it count. Step 1. Summarize key points concisely. A great conclusion doesn't repeat everything. It summarizes the core arguments in a crisp and powerful way. Example: after analyzing company X's strategic options, expanding internationally presents significant opportunities for growth. However, it also carries risks such as cultural barriers and economic fluctuations. Tip: keep it short and sharp. Avoid adding new arguments. Just reinforce what you have already discussed. Step 2. Provide a justified final decision. Now here's what separates an average response from a top tier one. You must justify your final recommendation using solid business reasoning. Example: despite the risks, international expansion aligns with company X's long-term growth objectives. By entering high-growth markets, the business can diversify revenue streams and enhance brand presence. Tip: use strong, decisive language like ultimately the best course of action is, or the most strategic decision would be, etc. Step 3. Acknowledge limitations and external factors. No business decision exists in a vacuum. A top answer considers external influences and limitations. Example: however, the success of this strategy depends on factors beyond the company's control, such as global economic stability and competition. Tip: show awareness of external risks. Mentioning steeple factors or potential economic shifts adds depth to your evaluation. Step 4. Ensure your conclusion directly answers the question. This is a common mistake. Many students write a great conclusion but don't fully answer the question. Before you finish, revisit the question and make sure your answer aligns with it. Final thought: given the company's strategic goals and risk appetite, international expansion is the most suitable choice. This aligns with long-term growth strategies and capitalizes on emerging market trends. Tip: end with confidence. Use phrases like therefore the best decision is, or thus the company should. Final takeaway: your conclusion is the final impression you leave on the examiner. Make it clear, justified, and confident. If you do this right, you are locking in those top marks. But wait, we are not done yet. Coming up next, I'll share common mistakes to avoid so you don't lose easy marks. Stay tuned. All right, future IB business management top scorers, let's talk about something that can make or break your 17-mark answer: common mistakes. These are the little errors that could cost you valuable marks. But don't worry, I'll show you exactly how to avoid them. Mistake number one: not referring to the case study adequately. Examiners love case study application. If you don't use it enough, you will lose easy marks. Ensure as far as possible at least 5 or more or all resources are used and mentioned in brackets. Example of a weak response: expanding internationally is a great opportunity for businesses because it allows them to grow. Vague, no case study reference. Example of a strong response: company X should expand internationally as the case study highlights their strong financial position, making this investment feasible. Bracket resource number directly tied to the case study. Every point you make should be backed up with case study evidence. Mistake number two: lack of evaluation. One-sided argument. If your answer only presents one perspective, you are not fully evaluating, and that's a big problem. Example of a weak response: the company should use cost leadership because it will increase market share. No evaluation, no counterpoint. Example of a strong response: while cost leadership can increase market share, it may also reduce profit margins, limiting reinvestment opportunities. Balanced argument, weighing both sides. For top marks, always present trade-offs and different perspectives. Mistake number three: poor structure leading to loss of coherence. A messy, unstructured answer will confuse the examiner. Your response needs to be clear, logical, and easy to follow. Use the PEAE structure: point, explanation, application, evaluation for every paragraph. Make your answer flow smoothly. Think of it as telling a compelling business story. Mistake number four: insufficient use of business management tools. If you don't use business models, you are missing a golden opportunity to boost your score. Example of a weak response: expanding internationally is a good strategy. No theory, no tools used. Example of a strong response: according to Ansoff metrics, market development through international expansion allows businesses to reach new customers while leveraging existing products. Uses a relevant business tool effectively. Mention at least 2 business management tools like SWOT, Ansoff, Porter's generic strategies, or decision trees. Final takeaway: avoid these mistakes and you will be well on your way to a top band marks. But hold on, before we wrap up, I have a special challenge up for you. Up next, a quick test to check if you are ready to ace the 17 markers. Stay tuned. Congratulations, you have made it this far, and now it's time to lock in everything we have learned. These key takeaways are the secret sauce to hitting the top band in your 17 marker answer. So don't miss a single point. Takeaway number one: use a structured approach. The best answers follow a clear structure. That means introduction, body, 3 strong paragraphs at least, and a conclusion. No waffling, no going in circles, just clear, logical, and well organized answers. Tip: think of your answer like a great business pitch. Start strong, build your case, and finish with impact. Takeaway number two: support arguments with case study details and business tools. Remember, generic answer equals lost marks. You must refer to the case study and apply business tools like SWOT, Ansoff, or Porter's generic strategies. Example: instead of just saying expanding into new markets will increase revenue, say according to Ansoff metrics, market development through international expansion can drive revenue growth as seen in company X's case study, where financial resources are available to support this strategy. Tip: the more specific and analytical you are, the more marks you secure. Takeaway 3. Evaluate trade-offs and provide a justified recommendation. A winning answer doesn't just state a strategy, it weighs the pros and cons and justifies the best course of action. Example: instead of saying company X should focus on cost leadership, say while cost leadership can increase market share, it may also reduce profit margins. However, given a company X's high production efficiency, this approach aligns with their competitive strengths. Tip: don't just give an answer, show the reasoning behind it. Takeaway number 4. Ensure logical sequencing and clarity. Your answer should flow smoothly from one point to the next. Keep it logical, easy to follow, and well structured. Imagine an examiner marking 100 plus scripts. If your answer is messy, unclear, or jumps around, they won't be able to follow your argument, and that means lost marks. Final thoughts: if you apply these key takeaways, your 17 marker answer will stand out from the rest. But before we wrap up, it's time for a quick challenge. Are you ready to test your knowledge? Stay tuned for a mini quiz to see if you have got what it takes to ace the 17 marker. Alright, future IB business champions, this is where you turn knowledge into real exam success. It's not just about understanding the 17 marker, it's about mastering it through consistent practice and smart strategies. So here are my final game-changing tips for you. Tip number 1. Practice with past IB paper 3 questions. Theory is great, but real improvement comes from practice. Make past paper questions your best friends. The more you practice, the better you will understand the IB examiner's expectations. Action step: go through at least 3 to 5 past paper 3 questions before your exam and time yourself. Then compare your answers with mark schemes to see where you can improve. Tip: think like an IB examiner. What are they really looking for? Practice writing responses that directly hit those top band descriptors. Tip number 2. Develop a habit of applying theories effectively. It's not about listing business models. It's about applying them to the case study. Examiners love when you connect theories to real-world business situations. Example: instead of saying the company should focus on differentiation, say using Porter's generic strategies. Differentiation is the best approach because company X has a strong brand reputation, which allows it to charge premium pricing. Always ask yourself, how does this theory help solve the business's problem? Tip number 3. Time management. Aim to complete in 30 minutes. You have limited time, so don't waste a second. Here's a smart breakdown of how you should allocate your time. Time breakdown for the 17 marker. 5 minutes planning, bullet points, key theories, case study links. 20 minutes writing, structured paragraph, evaluation, trade-offs. 5 minutes reviewing, checking clarity, coherence, and adding final touches. Tip: keep your introduction brief, focus on quality over quantity, and ensure your argument flows logically. Tip number 4. Review and refine your answers before submission. The difference between a good answer and a top band answer: refinement. Use your last 5 minutes to check if your answer directly answers the question. Ensure business tools and case study details are included. Strengthen evaluation by adding counter arguments or trade-offs. Final thought: mastering the 17 marker is about strategy, structure, and smart practice. Commit to these final tips and you will be miles ahead of the competition. Now, are you ready for the final test? Stick around for a quick quiz to check if you are truly prepared to ace your paper 3. Before we go any further, let's acknowledge the key resources that have shaped this guide. These include the official IB subject guide, Paul Hong's business management textbook, IB specimen papers, and examiners' reports. These resources provide invaluable insights into structuring high-scoring answers. This presentation is designed to help you apply these insights effectively. That wraps up our guide to mastering the 17-mark question in IB Business Management Paper 3. I hope you found this helpful and are now ready to tackle the exam with confidence. But don't stop here. Put your knowledge to test. A short quiz is available in the description to help reinforce what you have learned. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more IB business insights. And if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. I did love to hear from you. See you in the next video.